When one thinks of the Sith's darkest deeds, they may conjure the name of Darth Nihilus, the so-called devourer of worlds. His insatiable hunger and the consumption of life itself earned him a reputation as nightmare incarnate. Yet, as devastating as Nihilus truly was, another Sith casts a far greater shadow over galactic history, Darth Vitiate, the Eternal Emperor. Where Nihilus devoured worlds out of compulsion, Vitiate destroyed and corrupted worlds with cold, calculated precision. His actions were not born from hunger, but from a desire for ultimate power, immortality, and dominion over the galaxy. Vitiate's reign was marked by a systemic obliteration or corruption of countless worlds, each chosen for a purpose. Some were destroyed to fuel his insatiable quest for immortality, others were warped into nexuses of dark side energy to serve his empire's ambition. Every world Vitiate touched, though, bore the scars of his cruelty, leaving behind devastation that reshaped the galaxy for millennia. What sets Vitiate apart from other Sith is the scale of his vision and the deliberate nature of his atrocities. Each action of destruction was a piece of a greater puzzle, one designed to consolidate his power, to break the will of his enemies. He was not a beast driven by instinct, but a master tactician wielding the dark side as a scalpel, reshaping the galaxy at a whim. In this exploration, we will dive deeply into the chilling details of each world that Vitiate corrupted or destroyed, beginning appropriately with the desolate void of Nathema, to the storm-choked skies of Droman Kaz, and beyond. Each case reveals not just the extent of power that Vitiate commanded, but the depth of his cruelty. Prepare to witness the legacy of the Sith whose actions echoes through the Force itself, long after his death. But we have to go back to the beginning. Among the many horrors Vitiate unleashed upon the galaxy, the destruction of Nathema stands as the most grotesque and unholy act of them all. While Sith throughout history have claimed dominion over the dark side, twisting it to their will, Vitiate achieved something that no other Sith had ever dared. He annihilated not just life, but the very essence of the Force, but not in a sole individual, on a planetary scale. Nathema was not merely destroyed, it was erased. Its life, its energy, even its connection to the Force was consumed entirely, leaving behind a void so complete that even the Sith mourned the loss of the planet. The events that led to Nathema's devastation began with Vitiate's rise to power when he was called Tenebrae, a Sith Lord on the distant planet of Martynas, later renamed to Nathema. Tenebrae was a prodigy of the dark side, and he claimed the title of the Sith Emperor through cunning and ruthlessness, earning the loyalty of Sith Lords desperate for strength after the great defeat of the Great Hyperspace War in Naga Sadow. Vitiate arose. He promised them salvation, renewing the strength of the fractured empire. Vitiate summoned thousands of his followers to Nathema under the pretense of enacting a ritual that would restore their power and lead the Sith to ultimate victory. But the ritual was a lie, a carefully orchestrated trap. Vitiate had secretly perfected a forbidden spell of unprecedented scope, a spell designed to siphon the Force energy of every living being on Nathema. Unlike many other Sith rituals, which drew on the dark side for temporary empowerment, this ritual had one goal: to transform Vitiate into a being of unparalleled immortality and power, doing so by consuming the very fabric of life on a planetary scale. When the ritual was unleashed, the results were beyond catastrophic. Every living creature on Nathema, human, animal, plant, was reduced to nothingness in an instant. The Sith Lords who had knelt before Vitiate, trusting his promises, were betrayed and slaughtered, their immense power drained and added to his own. The Force itself recoiled in horror, leaving Nathema a barren void. Not even the dark side could take root in the wasteland that remained. The terror of Nathema. The planet became a place of unnatural silence and emptiness. The land was a gray husk, lifeless. The air was stiff, suffocating. For those that dared to tread on Nathema after the ritual, the experience was harrowing. Sith Lords, even those hardened by the atrocities of war, were overcome with grief and despair when they felt the pure absence of the Force, a void so profound that it was as if the planet itself had been cursed. Some Sith went simply mad by walking its surface, unable to endure the unnatural absence of its connection. But the ritual of Nathema would have more consequences. Vitiate's ritual sparked outrage even among the surviving Sith Lords of the era. Even by the dark and ruthless standards of the Dark Order, the annihilation of Nathema was too far. The Sith philosophy was based on power, but rarely did they embrace the wholesale destruction of the very tools that enabled that power. The Sith thrived on chaos, passion, conflict, all of which required life. To obliterate a world so completely, cutting it off from the life and the Force itself, was to defy the very principles that bound the Sith to the galaxy at large. Among Vitiate's critics were Sith who feared his growing power, recognizing that a being capable of such devastation could not be controlled nor opposed. Others mourned the loss of valued Sith knowledge and resources, as the ritual had consumed powerful allies and artifacts alike. Some Sith of the Order even viewed the act as an abomination, believing that it undermined the greater purpose of ruling, not annihilating the galaxy. However, none dared to openly oppose Vitiate, as his power after the ritual was beyond their comprehension. He had ascended to a new level of existence, becoming more than a Sith. He was now a being of near godlike power, sustained by the life that he had stolen. Vitiate's motivation for destroying Nathema were both personal as well as deeply strategic. He sought immortality at any cost, driven by an insatiable hunger for power and a fear of death that surpassed even the darkest ambitions of the Sith. To Vitiate, the lives of his followers were expendable, their faith nothing more than a means to an end. On a deeper level, Vitiate's actions reflected his ultimate vision for the galaxy. He did not see life as something to rule as most Sith did. Instead, he viewed life as a resource to be consumed and discarded. By annihilating Nathema, Vitiate proved his willingness to destroy not only his enemies, but even the very foundation of life itself if he could achieve his goals. Nathema's destruction left scars not just on the galaxy, but on the soul of other Sith. The planet became a haunting reminder of Vitiate's unmatched power, a disregard for the natural order. But this would only foreshadow his later atrocities, including his near destruction of Ziost and his attempts to consume the entire galaxy. For the Sith who opposed him, it was a grim warning of the price of their loyalty. For the galaxy, it was the first glimpse of a nightmare far greater than any Sith Lord before could conjure. A warning. But as we delve deeper into Vitiate's reign, it becomes clear that Nathema was not an anomaly. It was the beginning of a quest to reshape the galaxy, regardless of the cost of any life. Following the devastation of Nathema, Vitiate, the Eternal Emperor, continued his reign of terror. Among many of the planets affected by his terrible reign, Ziost stands as some of the most significant. It was once the jewel of the Golden Empire, a golden hub of culture, power, and tradition. Ziost's fall exemplifies the utter annihilation that Vitiate was willing to unleash on anything, even the Sith legacy, if it meant that he could further his power. Ziost had been one of the original core worlds of the Sith Empire. It was steeped in the dark side long before Vitiate was born. Located in the Stygian caldera, the planet served as a political and a cultural center for the ancient Sith, and later became a critical seat of power for the exiled Dark Jedi. It was a thriving hub of knowledge, home to grand temples, archives, and academies, where Sith would learn, hone their craft. For centuries, Ziost symbolized the strength of the Sith Empire. Its terrible forests, tundra landscapes, and imposing architecture embodied the philosophy of the Sith, of dominance over nature and the galaxy around them. It was on this planet where the Dark Lords debated the future of the Empire, waged shadow political wars, and performed rituals that shaped the dark side itself. The planet's golden age was a time of brutal strength, but it saw a flourishing of Sith artistry, culture, and philosophy. But despite its grandeur, Ziost's golden era would end at the hands of Vitiate, centuries after Nathema. Ziost had become the site of yet another one of his atrocities. By this time, Vitiate had assumed the guise of Valkorion, the ruler of the Eternal Empire. In the year 3636 BBY, after his physical body was destroyed during the events of the Old Republic, Vitiate's spirit returned, searching for a means to restore his strength. He set his sights on Ziost, where his loyal cultists, the Emperor's hand, still operated. Through them, Vitiate executed a dark plan to consume Ziost's life force like Nathema. Vitiate began his attack on Ziost using one of his most terrifying abilities, mass possession. He infiltrated the minds of every living being on Ziost, blending them to his will. The citizens of Ziost, including civilians and Sith alike, became puppets, their free will shattered. Under Vitiate's control, they turned on one another in an orgy of violence, slaughtering friends, family, colleagues. The planet devolved into chaos, with rivers of blood staining its once proud cities. Some of the Sith on Ziost had opposed Vitiate's earlier atrocities, but now they were powerless. Even their power could not shield them from the Emperor's wrath. Entire legions of warriors were turned into mindless killers, their loyalty to the Sith obliterated in absolute servitude to Vitiate. When Vitiate had drained his victims of their will and reduced the planet to a state of carnage, he began the final phase of his plan. Using the same ritualistic techniques perfected on Nathema, he consumed all life on Ziost, feeding on the death and destruction that he caused. Every being, man, woman, child, Sith, was absorbed into Vitiate's essence, the force fueling his bid for immortality yet again. Ziost was once the proud heart of the Sith Empire. Its lust-for-ish, mighty cities and thriving culture were now reduced to ash and silence through war. Like Nathema before, it was a planet stripped of its being. Vitiate did this for a few reasons. It was a great source of power, a demonstration of his own latent power, but it was also a symbol for his hatred of the Sith legacy. The fall of Ziost sent shockwaves through the galaxy. For the Sith, it was a catastrophic blow to their identity. Ziost had been a symbol of their strength and resilience for years, a testament to what they could achieve when left unburdened. The Jedi and the Republic too were horrified by the destruction of Ziost. It reinforced the existential threat that was Vitiate, a being whose ambitions went beyond ruling the galaxy to the utter consumption of it. The Jedi doubled their efforts to stop him, recognizing that if he succeeded in his plans, no world, no life would be safe. But Nathema and Ziost were not the last. He left many scars on planets bearing his malevolence and his power. And here we'll delve into the other prominent times when Vitiate corrupted and destroyed entire worlds. Vitiate also corrupted Dromund Kaas. After fleeing the Sith Empire in their defeat in the Great Hyperspace War, Vitiate led his followers to the remote world of Dromund Kaas. It was here where he began to rebuild the Empire in secret, establishing this as the new Sith capital. On the world, he performed countless rituals, corrupting the planet on a mass scale. The entire world became his lab and testing grounds. The land became a dangerous jungle teeming with mutated predators. Even the Sith found the oppressive atmosphere overwhelming, as the dark energy amplified aggression and paranoia. He also had a hand in the corruption of Yavin 4. Yavin 4, known for its ancient Massassi temples, was a world that Vitiate used for a base of experiments in Sith alchemy. He used the temples originally constructed by the Massassi under the influence of other Dark Lords such as Naga Sadow. And although Yavin 4 was one of the worlds that he claimed, he didn't spend a lot of time here. Moving on, he also attempted to corrupt the world known as Voss. The planet Voss was home to the Force-sensitive Voss mystics, a reclusive group of unparalleled foresight. Vitiate saw these mystics as a potential tool for his plans, and he desired to corrupt them. While Voss itself resisted his full corruption though, Vitiate's manipulation nearly caused a civil war between their people. Another world he partially destroyed was Terminus. During the Old Republic era, Terminus was a prominent city world in the galaxy. While Vitiate did not completely annihilate it, his empire's bombardment left much of the planet in ruins. Large portions were reduced to a wasteland, skyscrapers reduced to rubble, and the destruction caused ecological devastation, leaving the planet's surface infested with rat-ghouls, and parts were uninhabitable for centuries. He also corrupted the world known as Oricon. Oricon became a base of the Dreadmasters, 6 Sith Lords who served directly below Vitiate, using their mastery of fear and the dark side. The Dreadmasters performed rituals that corrupted this world. Oricon was shrouded in an aura of dread, and its inhabitants were enslaved to terror itself. This was yet again another simple base of operations. Now let's move on to Balmorra. Balmorra was an industrial planet, and was conquered by the Sith Empire under Vitiate's direct order. The planet factories were repurposed for the Sith war machine, and its population suffered under Sith oppression. Vitiate's actions across these planets reflect his belief that life, culture, and tradition were meaningless in the face for his quest for power. Unlike other Sith who sought to rule, Vitiate only sought to consume. Each planet he touched was annihilated or reshaped just to serve his ultimate goal. His empire's shadow loomed over the galaxy for centuries. His reign of terror remains one of the darkest chapters in all of galactic history. His destruction of worlds like Nathema, Ziost, Dromund Kaas has demonstrated a level of calculated cruelty and of ambition that surpasses any other Sith before him. Unlike those who sought to conquer, Vitiate wanted to annihilate, but while his power was vast, his insatiable hunger for immortality proved to be his undoing. His reliance on rituals, his disregard for the lives of allies and enemies alike, and his ambition to consume the galaxy alienated even Sith who served him. In the end, his actions galvanized the Republic, the Jedi, and the Sith factions to stand against him. He proved that no single being, no matter how powerful, could dominate the galaxy unchallenged, and that even the Sith would rise to oppose him. Though Vitiate was eventually defeated, his shadow lingers in the ruins of worlds that he corrupted and destroyed. These planets serve as a grim reminder of what the Emperor was capable of, and what the galaxy narrowly escaped. Vitiate's legacy is not just one of destruction, but a deep warning, unchecked ambition, the cost of power pursued without any limit, without morality. His story is a testament to the resilience of those who opposed him, and the enduring struggle between light and dark, and those that wield the Force without any form of restraint. But as always, my friends, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on the true planet-busting Sith Lord in the Star Wars lore and mythos? And what do you think is the worst thing that Vitiate has ever done? As always, my friends, thank you so much for visiting the archives today, and as always, may the Force be with you.